Today, I'm back with another mega physical media collection video for you all. Today, I'm taking on Huck's A through Z challenge, but I'm putting a little twist on mine for my channel specifically because we are the mega film fans, so these are only going to be superhero titles. So the rules are I have to pick one movie from each letter, also including a numeric number, so that's going to be a total of 27 titles, but I made it more difficult on myself by actually doing only superhero movies. Now, you are allowed some cheats in there, like having some collection box sets. You're allowed 5 cheats with that. Now, this was really difficult, so I had to cheat in a couple other ways, which I will explain to it once I get to those titles. But let's get right into it. So starting with the first title here, and we're going to start with the numeric title first. This was so difficult to think of. I really couldn't think of a superhero title that just started with a single number. If you know a title out there, let me know that in the comments below. But I had to go with something that just had a number on it. So I went with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Because you can definitely see the 2 is on there. Yeah, I know it's not at the beginning of the title, but I just couldn't think of anything else. So I had to go with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 because this is what was in my collection. Not my favorite Marvel movie in the world, but I do like the stuff with Yondu. I think that stuff is really powerful. And so you got an awesome soundtrack as always. Just the third act for me just kind of falls apart. But you know what? Every time I watch it again, I like it just a little bit more. But yeah, that's going to be the first title. Next, we're getting into the letter A. Now, I'm so glad I had so many titles to choose from for this one. So I went with an Avengers movie, and that's going to be Avengers Infinity War. This is definitely my favorite Avengers movies, one of my favorite MCU movies. I just think this is such a great story, a story about the villain, Thanos. So powerful. Of course, he ends up winning at the end of this movie. But this movie's great. It's a roller coaster from start to finish. Tons of amazing action scenes, a lot of good heart and drama as well. I mean, this movie has it all, and even though it's a long movie, it doesn't feel long because it's always just go, go, go. Very fun superhero movie. Next, getting into the letter B. Letter B, I had so many choices because there's just so many Batman movies out there. I mean, between the live action and the animated Batman titles, oh my goodness, I had like maybe 30 to 50 titles with Batman alone. But I just went with a live action Batman Begins here. Yes, I really like this movie. Yeah, I only have this one on DVD. Totally need to upgrade it to the 4K. But Batman Begins is an awesome movie. It starts off the Dark Knight trilogy, and that is just my favorite trilogy of all time, I think. It's just so good. But Batman Begins is a great origin story. To me, it's probably one of the best origin stories out there. Just to see how Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, to me, it just gets fascinating. Every single time I watch it, it just gets better and better. All the training montages, I mean, it's just really, really cool. And to see how he gets his cave, makes his costume, right? The symbol of the bat, why he chose that. So powerful. Christian Bale is great as Bruce Wayne, and he's not a bad Batman either. So tons of great talent in here. Just so awesome. You got Ra's al Ghul, right? Liam Neeson there, so can't go wrong with that. I mean, yeah, and the list just goes on and on, but Batman Begins, great. How to choose that for the letter B. Next, for C, once again, a lot of choices here. I went with a Captain America movie, but which one? My favorite is going to be Captain America Civil War. I love this movie. This movie is one of my favorite MCU movies as well. I just love that dynamic back and forth between Steve Rogers and Tony Stark, Captain America versus Iron Man. And what I really like about this movie is because you can see both of their perspectives, both sides. You know, you can see the pros and cons to each of them, so it kind of puts you in the middle the whole time. You're like, who do I side with? And you're kind of back and forth. Of course, I end up on Captain America's side by the end of it, of course. But yeah, I mean, it's such a great movie, and both of the sides are great. There's tons of awesome characters. The airport battle scene is fantastic. You have Spider-Man showing up. I mean, that throwdown is so fun. So really great movie. I love just kind of that, political intrigue behind it as well, with that debate back and forth between the sides. So really, really good, and has a great action as well. So can't go wrong with this one. Such an awesome movie. Next, on to the letter D, and for this one, I went with Deadpool 2 because I have an awesome slipcover steelbook, but also I really like this movie. Actually, it was tough for me to decide between Deadpool 2 and Deadpool. I like both of them so much, but Deadpool 2, I just kind of remember more because you got Juggernaut in there, you got Cable, you got Domino. I mean, tons of great characters, that funny X-Men, was it Task Force X cameos? I guess you could say with this one is really, really funny. But Deadpool kind of, always likes to kind of poke fun at other things, and the X-Men are no exception. So this movie is great. Awesome, fun, entertaining. Deadpool 2. I mean, Ryan Reynolds is just so awesome in the role. Can't wait for Deadpool 3, but super happy to have this one. So next, we're going on to E's. I didn't have a lot of E's here, so I kind of had to pick this one by default, but I like this movie more than most, and I'm going to have to go with the Eternals here, right? Eternals, 4K Steelbook. The Steelbook is alright, not my favorite, but, it's okay. I think the Target edition was better, but I like this movie more than most. I don't know why it gets trashed so much. Like, some people really hate this movie. I don't get that at all. It's not one of my favorite MCU movies. It's more mid-tier for me. Yeah, I can see the flaws in it. Definitely gets a little bit overly long and maybe overly ambitious, and maybe doesn't fully pull off by then. But with introducing so many eternal characters, I mean, they did a good job with so many new characters, giving them different personalities. All the power sets looked really, really cool. And so I just like seeing that group dynamic there, and really good acting talent involved as well. So because of that, I still enjoy Eternals. Even though it's not a perfect movie, I still have a decent enough time with it. All right, next I'm going to get to F. So F, I'm not going to count this one as a cheat. You let me know if you'd count it as a cheat, but I'm going to go with Flashpoint Paradox. Yeah, I know it's Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox, but I'm not really counting the, and Justice League, it's kind of like a brand within these animated movies. There's a lot of movies that start with the Justice League title. So, you know what? I'm going to go with the main title here for me. I'm going to say Flashpoint Paradox, so it counts for F. But this movie is amazing. It is such a good movie. Even if you're not an animated fan, if you like superhero movies, this one is a must watch. This gets me excited for the live action Flash movie that's going to be coming out, even though it keeps getting delayed. Don't know if we will ever get that, but it still gets me excited because this is such a powerful story, and it's supposed to take inspiration from that. And once again, this movie gets me teary-eyed, no joke. This movie has tons of drama and heart to it, really just gripping moments. And you know what? It's awesome action as well. And you know what? The Flash is my favorite DC character. So yeah, I got to put a little bit of Flash into this collection here. So Flashpoint Paradox, yeah, you got to see that one. It's so good. So good. All right, next we have our G's. Yes. Hopefully I'm going in the correct order. All right, yes, G. So G, I'm going to have Glass right here. Glass is such a kind of different superhero movie and supervillain movie. Of course, you got Glass, who is a supervillain. Also with the Split character, who's another supervillain. And then, of course, you have the hero in this one. So I'm totally blanking on the names right now, but it's going to come to me right now. So we got, let's look. Yes, you got Mr. Glass. He's my favorite. That's Samuel L. Jackson. You got the Beast, James McAvoy. And then you also have David Dunn, Bruce Willis. Totally don't know why I was just blanking on people's names right there. do apologize for that one. But great group of characters in this movie. This movie is a lot of fun. I mean, it's a suspense thriller, but has that superhero aspect where they all have different kind of unique powers, but they're more subtle. You know what? It's kind of in some of the earlier movies, you're wondering, are they actually, super powered, not super powered? Are they just human, but people believe, certain coincidences about them? By the time you get to the end of the trilogy here, the third movie, okay, they have some kind of superhuman abilities. Mr. Glass, the super intelligent one. And I really like this movie just because you get to see, Mr. Glass, all his, plot and thinking and just everything by the end of the movie, all the big twists. I think it ends really well. So I actually like the ending. Some people don't like the ending at all, but, I just like how it ends up getting all twisted. And, Mr. Glass is definitely his story, and he's my favorite character out of the three in here. So, really like Mr. Glass. I mean, amazing performance by Samuel L. Jackson. So, really like this one. And this is a cool little 4K slipcover kind of thing, because you can switch out the characters for the front, which is really, really cool. All right, next, we're on to H here. H is going to be Howard the Duck. Yes, Howard the Duck, a Marvel movie before the MCU times. Yeah, this movie is a little weird and wacky and bizarre, but it's also very funny. You got Howard the Duck, who's just, a quick talking duck. And of course, you got, I believe that's Leah Thompson in there, if I'm remembering the name correctly. But yeah, I mean, they just get into, sorts of shenanigans, I guess you could call it. It's a very fun 80s vibe of a movie. Very, very cheesy, way different than a lot of those superhero movies or comic book movies in here, you could say. But I have still a good time with this one, and the 4K is absolutely outstanding. Definitely got to pick this one up. I mean, I'm telling you, Howard the Duck looks awesome in 4K. No joke. It's really cool. All right, next, we're on to Eyes. And for I have Injustice. Yes, the 4K DC animated movie here. Now, I really like the Injustice video games. I mean, those are some of my favorite video games of all time. I can't wait for Injustice 3 when that comes out. Now, the movie does not live up to the hype of the video games. I do like the video game storyline better. It was kind of weird in this movie. They wanted to change a few things up, and I don't like the directions it went towards. It's just some weird decisions. So overall, I actually don't really like this movie a whole ton. I wish we would have just got, an animated movie of the video game storyline. That would have been perfect. There's still some, redeeming qualities in here, but overall package just could have been better for me. Like I said, I don't know why they kind of wanted to change things up and do, stick to the video game storyline. Come on, that storyline would have been golden. All right, next on the J's here, and of course, one of my favorite movies of all time, Joker, Joaquin Phoenix. You got Robert De Niro in there. Very powerful, dramatic tale. I mean, of course, you get, Joaquin Phoenix gets the Oscar for this performance, deservingly so. I mean, it's just so terrifying of a character. I mean, the music is great in this movie, just the atmosphere, just the look of this movie. I mean, everything about this movie to me is just, I don't like to say the word perfection, but to me, it just kind of is. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Not just one of my favorite comic book kind of movies, but just a really good movie overall. But plus, you got the Joker style in there. So it just works. It's really good. If you like dramatic movies, even if you're not a superhero fan, gotta check out the Joker. I mean, this is just something I can watch over and over again, even though it's like so dark and terrified. It's like, oh, you can't look away. It's a downward spiral for this character. But I'm excited for Joker too. So can't wait to see what they do with that. But yep, got Joker there. All right, next we got K. What am I going to choose for K? The only one I had, Kick-Ass. Yeah. So this is an awesome slipcover. I really like this one. Really cool. I like all the colors there. But this is a fun movie. I like the premise of this movie where it's like, hey, what if kind of ordinary people wanted to be superheroes that didn't really have superpowers. And I mean, Nicolas Cage as Big Daddy in here is just fantastic. Hit Girl is awesome as well. I mean, all the characters are great in this movie, very entertaining. Yeah, I mean, it works all the way around. The villain's great in it. Yeah, it's a wonderful movie. It's a little bit different for the superhero genre. And you know what? It's a good time. You got to check that movie out if you haven't. All right, next on to L's. And we're going to have the Lego. Yes, how to pick something with Legos. Batman movie. I mean, this is a really good Batman movie. I mean, just as a Batman movie, forget animated, forget Legos. It's just a really good Batman story. They get the Batman Joker relationship perfect. They get, a lot of the characters right in here. There's tons of Batman characters, tons of Batman villains in here. They get the Bruce Wayne character side right. I mean, everything just works. It's very entertaining for both adults and kids. It works all the way around. The Lego property it worked for this movie. They just told a good story and did it with Legos. But they focused on a good Batman story first. That's what matters. And there's some pretty entertaining songs in here that are super funny as well. So it got some humor too, which works. So really like that movie. All right, next we're on to M's. And I have Man of Steel. Of course, you gotta have Man of Steel in the collection. This movie is just so good. Amazing origin story. I don't know why a lot of people don't like this one. To me, this is one of the best superhero movies out there, especially for an origin story. Just for a solo superhero movie, it just works so well. It's so powerful and gripping. I mean, just Krypton at the beginning, it looks amazing. Zod is a great character, and you can kind of see Zod's perspective and where he's coming from, and what he's doing for his people. But then, of course, you got Superman, trying to do right by Earth and humans. And you know what? It's a good dynamic back and forth. Once again, kind of like Civil War. You got those two perspectives, and you can totally see each side. And so I like this movie. I know some people complain about the destruction at the end of it, and having to take out Zod. But to me, it still works because, of course, it's Superman for a day. He just becomes Superman. You think he's gonna be perfect? No, he's just learning how to fly and everything. Of course, there's going to be some destruction. There's going to be some casualties, unfortunately. But to me, it makes it seem more realistic. So, you know what? I like that about the movie. Doesn't get enough respect. Man of Steel is an awesome movie. Gotta check this one out if you haven't. I don't know why we didn't get a Man of Steel 2. We need a Man of Steel 2 with Henry Cavill back, of course. All right, next. Ooh, this was an interesting one I put in here. So this is going to be for N's. Yes, for N. Really good movie. And this is Necessary Evil, supervillains of DC Comics with the awesome lenticular cover. Look at that. It's so cool. Look at that. Ah, how awesome. But this is an awesome movie. It's a documentary that talks about kind of the villain perspective in comics. And, the purpose of basically the villains, and kind of goes through their line of thinking, and it really talks about the psychology of the villains in here. It gets deep for something about comics. I mean, I was just so impressed the first time I watched it. And usually I don't go back to rewatch documentaries, but I've gone back to watch this one a couple times now, and it's so good. It covers a lot of the DC villains too. So, if you're a fan of a DC villain, good chance it shows up in here in some way. But just going into the psychology of all these characters and their perspective, and why, somebody would choose to be a villain. I mean, like I said, there's depths and layers to this one. Probably flew under most people's radar, but if you're a big superhero fan, comic book fan, I'm telling you, this is necessary. Necessary Evil, supervillains of DC Comics. Get this one, watch it right away. I can't overstate how good that one is. You gotta see it. All right, next. Okay, this one I had to cheat on for the letter O. I had no title that started with O. I couldn't even think of a title that started with O, so I could order one. I couldn't think of one at all. So I was just looking through titles, seeing if there's subtitles that had O in it. I couldn't find any of those, even with like my animated superhero movies. And so I know it's a lame pick. It totally doesn't count, but I just picked a movie that O showed up twice in one word. I know it's lame. I couldn't think of anything else. So I chose Deadpool 1 because in pool you got two O's. I know it's a bad excuse, but literally I didn't know what else to do. If you had another suggestion, let me know in the comments. Would really much appreciate that. But Deadpool, awesome movie, very entertaining. Ryan Reynolds, once again, is fantastic in the role. You got that love romance story with it, which really is, kind of the driving force of the movie. And so this movie just, it works. It's a good, solid story, very entertaining. And yeah, Deadpool, he's funny. He talks to the camera, got, brutal action scenes for it being, a rated R superhero movie. So it works all the way around. Once again, excited for Deadpool 3. All right, next, we're into P, and if you know me, you know my favorite superhero here. So I have Punisher, of course. Yeah, I know it's called The Punisher. I'm not counting those, though. So we got Punisher. The steelbook is absolutely fantastic, but this movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. Thomas Jane as the Punisher is perfection. Very entertaining movie. If you like kind of, I guess, revenge tales, this is where you'd want to watch The Punisher. I mean, it's so heart-wrenching, some of the scenes too, with like all the family and all that side of it. It's just very tough to watch. Definitely some tough scenes to watch, but the Punisher, is born in this movie, and when the Punisher is unleashed, it's just, oh my goodness, a revenge ghost of sorts. I mean, the action is crazy in here, very brutal, but once again, it's just a movie. When I start watching it, like, I need to watch it all the way through. I can't stop. It's that gripping to me. Always been a big Punisher fan. Once again, my favorite superhero of all time. I had to put them on this list. So, Punisher, yep, this is my favorite Punisher version. So good. And you get John Travolta in there as the villain, as Howard Saint. He's not too bad of a villain either. So, I mean, the movie's not perfect, but like I said, it's still one of my favorite movies of all time. I really, really like that movie. All right, next, we're going to get into Q, right? I think we're in Q's. Yep, we're in Q's. And this was another tough one for me to think of. I couldn't think of anything superhero related, comic book related that started with Q. I just couldn't think of it. I kept looking and looking. So I had to cheat on this one. Once again, I know it totally doesn't count. I get it. Maybe if you have a different suggestion, put it in the comments below what I could put for Q. But I'm just going to have to go with a Harley Quinn movie because you got Quinn in the title. I know it's a lame excuse, but that's all I could think of. And I'm only picking superhero movies, so I'm not going to pick anything else that's not comic book or superhero related. So I went with Birds of Prey, The Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Longest title ever. Very unnecessary title. A lot of people hate this movie. I don't hate it. I don't love it either. To me, it's just kind of in the average range. There's some cool things in it, but overall, yeah, probably every time I watch it, it gets a little bit worse. I don't like what they did with the Black Mask character. He's one of my favorite characters, and I just thought, even just how, like, it finishes him off, it's just, like, so sudden. You're like, what? That's it for Black Mask? What? We could have got more with Black Mask. So yeah, there's a lot of missteps in here. Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, though, is always good. I think Margot Robbie fits the character perfectly, so I don't have any issues with that. So there's good elements in here. It's just a few missteps with the story and the script. And yeah, like I said, I wish it was better. But once again, that's the only thing I could have thought of for Q's was Quinn for Harley Quinn. I know. All right, next I'm on to R. So R, I have Reign of the Superman. This is like the second part of Death of Superman, if you know that comic book storyline. And you basically have all these characters trying to replace Superman after he dies, basically. Everybody's, kind of, competing for the Superman name, right? With their powers and abilities. So, you know what? For animated movies, it's okay. It's not perfect. It's not anything special. Could have been better. Absolutely. So, once again, not one of my favorite animated movies, but I had to find something with an R. think this was the only thing I had with an R. So Reign of the Superman, had to choose it by default. All right, next, S. There was a lot I could do with S because you got Superman, right? So you know I'm going to pick a Superman movie. There's so many Superman titles out there, so the one I went with had to go nice and classic on this one, and I had to go with Superman the movie. Wow, this movie is fantastic. You got Christopher Reeves, perfect Superman in here. I just really like this movie. The 4K is fantastic. The score, of course, is amazing. I believe it's done by John Williams, if I'm remembering correctly. Just sounds fantastic. I really like the story. I mean, the Superman story is just great. How it's told in here is awesome. The villain, Lex Luthor, is played very well. And it just works. I mean, everything to me works in this movie. It is a very classic Superman movie, but I like it so much for some reason or another. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just so good. Very entertaining. Had to pick Superman the movie. Next, now we're on to T. I'm going to have to go with Thor Ragnarok. Awesome movie. It is great. I wish Thor Love and Thunder was on this level. It wasn't, but that's a story for another day. But Thor Ragnarok was fantastic. It balanced drama and comedy and action all perfectly. Taika Waititi did a great job with this movie. Kind of, revitalized the Thor franchise because it was losing its way. It was all over the place. But to me, this is the way to do Thor. Good drama, good action, good comedy, and balance it out. Good character development here. You get the Hulk, which is awesome in this movie. And of course, you got Jeff Goldblum, who's fantastic. I mean, all the characters are really great in here. Hela, everything just works. It's just such a good movie. Thor Ragnarok, soundtrack fantastic. You can't go wrong with this one. MCU's one of the best titles, I would say. Absolutely. One of my favorites, anyway. All right, next, I'm on to you. Believe we're on to you now. So for you, I'm gonna go with Unbreakable. Yes, and I love the still book. Oh, you got Mr. Glass there. You got Dunn there. I mean, look at that. Yeah, cool looking with that glass. I don't know why I was shaking it. It's not lenticular, but you got that glass effect anyway. Yeah, Unbreakable. Fantastic movie. It's really good. It's a different kind of superhero movie. You're always wondering, okay, wait, do they got superpowers? Do they not? Is it coincidental? So you have that thriller suspense element to it. I mean, this is M. Night Shyamalan's one of his best movies here. It's so good. Very gripping. I mean, just when you get hooked in, you get hooked in with this one. And once again, you got Mr. Glass in here. Mr. Glass is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's just so cool. I don't know what it is about, Samuel L. Jackson as Mr. Glass. He's so awesome in the role. But yeah, really like this movie overall. It's great. Superhero movie, suspense, thriller, whatever you want to call it. Fantastic. Really like this one. I love that comic book look with this still. Once I'm getting too excited about the steelbook here. It's so good. All right, next I'm on to V. So for V, I chose Venom, the first Venom movie. Do like this steelbook right here. Venom's always been a really cool looking character. And this movie isn't perfect, but for what it was, it was not bad. I was entertained by it. It's a quick moving movie. It's not too long. It doesn't overstay its welcome. You got Tom Hardy as, Eddie Brock, Venom. I think he does a good job. I like the banter back and forth between Eddie Brock and Venom in the movie. So that asks for some very fun comedic moments. So, like I said, it's a fun, turn your brain off kind of movie. So I enjoy Venom. Had to put it in here. All right, next on to W. And you're probably going to guess W, right? Wonder Woman, first Wonder Woman movie. I really like this steelbook I got as well for the movie, but Wonder Woman is great. I mean, it's a good movie. It has a historical context with, was that World War I? And Gal Gadot, I didn't know she was going to be a great Wonder Woman, but, she does a decent job in this movie, and she's only gotten better over time with acting, so I appreciate that. And I just like the look and feel to this movie. Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, right? Is great in the movie. Excellent. They got a good dynamic back and forth. The Amazons in this movie are definitely intimidating. and just to kind of see, where they come from. That works. I mean, this movie just all works. It's a good story from start to finish. Mostly to finish. I will say it kind of loses me in that third act when it becomes too much of a big CGI battle. Yeah, that part I'm not the biggest fan of, but the rest of the movie definitely is really, really solid. I really like Wonder Woman, so I had to put that here. And then next, all right, we got X. Of course, you're going to know X, right? But this one is kind of a cheat because it's two of them together. So I got the X-Men collection, and this is X-Men 1 and 2. Doesn't have 3 in here, so I chose this one specifically. But X-Men 1 and 2, some of the greatest superhero movies of all time. They still hold up. X-Men 2 is my favorite out of the two, but they're both really good. And I mean, they're just some of the best superhero movies of all time. And this really what kicked off people making superhero movies, because once they saw, oh, X-Men can do it, right? Fox can do it with a group of superhero characters, be successful with it, then, hey, you know what? We can make other superhero movies. And then, of course, you get a whole bunch of other ones, right? You then get MCU. And so, you know what? So much respect needs to be paid to X-Men movies. X-Men 1 and 2, amazing. Still fantastic movies. Really enjoy those. And yeah, I mean, all the cast in there, actors, Hugh Jackman, I mean, you name it, fantastic. They're all fantastic. All right, next, all right, how to cheat here for why, because I actually don't have this movie on physical, but this would have been Batman Year 1. I couldn't think of something that started with just the Y title, so Year 1, that's all I could think of with Batman with the animated movie. I have this one on digital. It's downloaded on one of my PlayStations, but I don't have the physical copy, unfortunately. But that's, once again, the only one I could really think of, Batman Year 1. That is a good story. It's, I mean, it's kind of an origin story, but not like the beginning origins. It's the Year 1 as Batman, so he's still kind of new, kind of learning, still how to be really a superhero as Batman. So from what I remember, it was pretty decent. I don't think it was like my favorite of all time, but I definitely think it was solid and a good watch. So I think, you know what, there probably are some physical copies out there that people can definitely get, but I only had it on digital, so that's one of my cheats there. I had to do that, have to work with what I got, right? And now we're on to the Z, and I had to think about this one. I'm like, Z, what superhero movie starts with Z? I don't think there's one out there. Z. And I looked at my shelf again, and I'm like, I got it. Well, what is it? Zack Snyder's Justice League trilogy. I'm counting this as a cheat here. Zack Snyder. Zack starts with a Z, so this totally counts. But this has, of course, Zack Snyder's Justice League, Batman vs. Superman, Ultimate Edition, and of course, Man of Steel, which I know I've already shown off. But I had to choose this one for the Justice League movie in here. I mean, it is so different than the theatrical version. I mean, to see what Zack Snyder was able to do with, more time, more money, of course, invested into the project, making it like a 4-hour movie, which I still think is a little too overlong and overstuffed. I think like at 3 hours 15, it would have been perfect. But really good movie. You get awesome character development from basically all the Justice League characters. Flash gets upgraded here, Cyborg gets upgraded here, and then just how this movie is edited together and the feel and the tone of it, like with the Wonder Woman beginning scenes, I mean, you can just see the editing with that. It's just, night and day different. So Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, and of course his trilogy as a whole. I mean, some of the best DC movies out there. You can't go wrong with it, and this is just a fantastic box set right here. So how to use a cheat for that one. But that is me completing the A through Z challenge that Huck, had for us. And basically, we got to see so many cool challenge videos from so many blue tubers out there. A lot of people participated in this one. Sorry for being late to the party on this one, but I hopefully made up for it by putting that little twist, that mega twist on it, by doing all superhero titles to the best of my ability there. So let me know in the comments below, do you think I succeeded in this A through Z challenge? What were some of your favorite superhero movies I showed off? Once again, was there any, superhero movies I should have maybe added for one of the letters I didn't have that maybe I just totally forgot about and couldn't think of? Let's have those fun superhero mega movie discussions down below. And if you're visiting the channel for the very first time and you love collecting physical media and being part of this awesome league of mega film fans, make sure you subscribe right now. That way you stay entertained and up to date on all the latest physical media topics.
This guy's probably fought hundreds of thousands of other super beings on the other planets he's destroyed, right? And we have to assume he's won.
I don't care how many demons he's fought and how many hells. He's never fought us. Not us united.
And if you enjoyed this physical media topic video, click another video to see more. Also like the video, and this is Mega Mike the Movie Man reminding you to make every day a movie day.